Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Shelf Book Talk with Book Lovers. I'm Elizabeth Nelson, here as always with Kay Johnson. And what have you been reading, Kay?
Zombies. Totally into zombies.
Oh, gosh.
I am a great fan of zombie literature. And I have probably read all the good stuff.
Have you read the bad stuff, too?
Yeah, probably. Just all stuff, period. But one of my favorites is World War Z by Max Brooks. And it was a movie with starring Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So you may have seen it.
Well, and Max Brooks is Mel Brooks' son.
Right, right. So, yeah, that's true.
Family connection.
Yes, and the book is a compendium of stories from people who survived the zombie apocalypse. And so it's one's in Soviet Russian, one's about a guy who sold a fake treatment, and made zillions. And then there's another one with, the government fell and now they're pretty much all rebuilding and stuff. But it's a good book because they're literally short stories, like chapters. So you can read it. And if you like zombies, you got to see it, read it. Well, you can see it too.
I have read the gambit of supernatural, fantasy, sci-fi. I cannot read about zombies. I cannot watch zombies. I don't know no. Zombies are a no-go. And I had to laugh because last year when it came out, there's The Last of Us. There's a TV show on HBO which is based on a video game about a post-apocalyptic where it's a fungus, I believe, that takes over. And I had to laugh because my husband was like, let's watch this movie. And I was like, it's zombies. I don't do zombies. And he's like, well, technically, they're a fungus. And I was like, I don't care. It moves like a zombie. It eats people. It looks like a zombie. It's a zombie. I just I've never been able to do it. And I've tried, especially when you've recommended stuff. And
there's a series that is by a Spanish guy. And I don't know if I have it here.
Though I will also say, if I had to pick, I'm going with the slow-walking zombies as opposed to the runners.
Yeah, the runners are bad. They run like 40 miles an hour.
It's one of those things where, like, you see it and you're like, in a movie, and it's just like, yeah, and I'm dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm the one that everybody else just has to run faster than.
Yeah, no, that's totally true.
No, I cannot do them at all.
Give
me a vampire or a wyvern.
Yeah, I'm not nuts about vampires. Because problem with vampires is they look like you and me. Unless you're reading
Depending
Stephen
on the
King.
version, yes.
And that creeps me out because that person could be sitting over there watching your jugular beat.
Well, I mean, the other thing I wonder if it is with zombies for me is it's the fact that they're generally related to some kind of a pathogen. And a lot of the pathogen stuff can be based in some kind of scientific fact. And maybe that's why I don't like it, but no, zombies are a no for me. You can keep the zombies. I will keep the vampires. You may keep the zombies.
Okay, the books that I really, really, really like, it's called Apocalypse Z.
Okay.
Beginning of the End. That's a really stellar book, huh?
Yes.
And I'm just looking to see. There's 3 in the series. And they're really, really good because it starts out, they're written as a blog. And the reason this guy is writing a blog is because his wife died.
Okay.
And his psychiatrist said it would be a good way for him to deal with his grief.
Okay.
So he has this cat, this Persian cat, that he loves.
You gotta have a pet.
And his blog. And anyway, he lives in a community where all the houses have big fences around them. And so he decides he's tired of the power grid going down, so he gets solar panels. And then he's doing all sorts of things, and like the probably 3rd entry talks about something happening in Russia.
Okay.
Far away. And he's a lawyer, and he's settling a big case, so he's going to get a lot of money. So he's thinking about what he's going to do over the next 6 months. Because he likes to dive and do different things. And so that's what he's focused on. But all of a sudden, all these entries, there's a little more, a little more, a little more. And then all of a sudden, they go dark. Bad sign.
Yes.
In case you need to know this.
In case you're not familiar with dystopian books, when things go dark, it's not
and
good.
Just as an aside, I often will remind my sisters about these different kinds of situations. So in November of 2019, there was an episode in China. This is for real.
Oh,
and I told my sister and my niece, I said, we need to watch that. And they, of course, rolled their eyes and just went on.
Which niece?
Rebecca.
I was going to say, it wasn't me.
And then, lo and behold, it became COVID.
Yeah.
And to this day, I'm like, hello, who was right? Who was right? So anyway, if you really enjoy zombie books, this one, Apocalypse Z, The Beginning of the End, is great. And I say it's great because the guy is totally normal in an abnormal world. As these things start happening around him.
Yeah.
There is my mom even liked it. My mom read it. Because I said, you're going to like this book. And she did. Because there's this whole scene where there's a soldier marching in front of his house who's a zombie. And he's got like a pack and all this stuff. And this guy keeps looking. He thinks if he could kill that zombie, he could get that pack. And there's probably stuff he could use. So he goes through this whole elaborate thing. And because he's a diver, he puts on his wetsuit. And but he can't hear. So he's got to cut out the ears. Of course, he paid a lot of money for the wetsuit. But he's got to do this because he's got to be able to hear. He has no weapons. All he has is a spear gun. And so he ventures out. And then he'll just write something like, I can't talk about it right now. You gotta wait till like the next day to get the...
Gosh.
So anyway, if you're looking for something interesting to read, zombie fiction. It isn't all great, but there's a few that are high points. Max Brooks and then Apocalypse Z. Those are two greats.
Okay.
How about you, Betsy?
Well, I'm going to completely switch topic here, and I'm going to take you to my new favorite little town called Dream Harbor.
Where is Dream Harbor?
Dream Harbor is on the East Coast. It's a tourist town, and it is the setting for Laurie Gilmer's Dream Harbor series. And they're not Dream Harborians, they are just dreamers.
Oh.
So there are currently 3 books in the series. The first one being The Pumpkin Spice Cafe.
Oh.
So Dream Harbor is a tiny little town, and very much one of those everybody knows everything about everybody. Everybody's involved. So the Pumpkin Spice Cafe was owned by Jeannie's aunt.
Okay.
And one day, Jeannie's aunt decided that she was going to retire and that Jeannie needed to come and run the cafe. So literally left her the cafe and took off to the Caribbean on vacation. So Jeannie has moved out of, I think she was in Boston, and she had been like an administrative assistant for a high-powered attorney, and he died suddenly at work, and she decided, I don't want to be doing this the rest of my life, so she's going to take over her aunt's cafe. So she moves to the tiny little town, and, well, in the middle of the night, starts hearing things out in her alleyway and in the inside the cafe.
She live
and
like
so
above
she does. She lives above it, and she goes downstairs to open the door to find out what's going to happen, and she almost hits Logan over the head, who is delivering local produce.
Oh.
So that is how our 2 main characters in this book
Logan.
meet. So Logan and Jeannie. And so Logan is one of those where he had a very bad breakup, and the town is very protective of Logan. And so Jeannie is the new person in town trying to get on her feet, figure it out. They're trying to figure out what's going on with her cafe. Is it haunted? Is somebody messing around with her? And then you have all these great little side characters. You have the Dream Harbor Book Club, which the book club reads only smut books. And they have these big town meetings, and the mayor goes off of things based on what happened in his dreams.
Well, there we
he'll
go.
decide like full things for what's going to happen. Like, well, I had a dream about this, so that means Logan has to help Jeannie figure out this problem. And so it's them figuring out their relationship, and that's the first one. The second book is called The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and that is about, where's her name? Hazel and Noah. And Hazel runs the local bookstore, and in her book, she's going to be turning 30, I believe, or something. She's got a big birthday coming up, and she starts finding, somebody starts leaving her notes or like a scavenger hunt to do within the bookstore.
Ooh.
And she asks Noah, who runs the local fishing
Guide
thing,
service.
to help her with it. And of course, Noah's had a thing for Hazel forever and wants her to like him, but he doesn't do serious. And so it's this whole them finding each other. And then our third book is called The Christmas Tree Farm. And this book is about Kira North moves to town, and she bought this place sight unseen because her sister got married, and so now she's all on her own. And so she decided that she was going to buy this farm sight unseen, move there, and do what everybody else does on Instagram with the homesteading and everything, and discovers that she has purchased the very much beloved Christmas Tree Farm
Uh-oh.
that had closed down, and Kira hates Christmas. And so the town makes it this big thing that they're going to get her to open this Christmas tree farm again. And of course, Jeannie's brother Bennett has come into town, and they decide that, well, Bennett, you can help Kira figure this out. And so it's them trying, and then so she realizes when she gets there that everything's a bit more run down than she thought. And so then she has to open
Oh,
the
because
Christmas tree farm to make money to fix the farmhouse. And so it's all of them figuring out. And so a lot of the books have reoccurring characters. I would recommend reading them in order. But I just loved the characters. I really wish that Dream Harbor was real. And there's actually 2 more books coming out. The next one comes out in March of this year, and it's called The Strawberry Patch Pancake House.
ooh.
And then the 5th book, which comes out next September, is called The Gingerbread Bakery.
Oh. Those
So,
sound so nice.
I will say, the covers are very deceiving. They look like very simple, just your normal little rom-com book. They can get a little spicy. So, and they're not closed-door romance books. So,
Smut.
not pure smut, but they are very famous on Book Talk and Instagram and all that stuff. But I mean, my husband goes, from that book cover, I did not think that some of that would go on in the book. So if you don't like that stuff, either don't read it or flip forward. It's whatever your preference is. But I will put that caveat in there because they're very, very cute covers. But I mean, I didn't read them for the longest time, but then everybody kept talking about them and that they were good. And I really enjoyed them, and it's a cute little town. And it's when you find those books where you just want to jump in and be friends with everybody. It's the same for me with like Joanne Fluke's
Oh, yeah, all the
Hannah Swenson series where she owns the cookie shop, and Lake Eden, Minnesota.
yes.
And of course, everybody starts dying. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you find these places and you really want to go there. But the reason you found these places you really like is because somebody died.
Yeah.
So it's like, I really want to go and meet all you people, but everybody is dying in your town,
That's
which is
true.
too much. Or it's the same. The other ones for me that I've always wanted to do is Lillian Jackson Brown's The Cat Who books. Those are books that I've always wanted to jump into and spend time with those people, even though it's not technically said that they're in Minnesota. It's pretty much implied that they take place in Minnesota.
Yeah,
It's just either up north or down there that
Yes.
they're referred to for where they are. But if you're not familiar, I would think everybody would know the cat books by now. But if you're not
Lillian
familiar,
Jackson.
Lillian Jackson Brown wrote books all the books are titled The Cat Who. And the main character's name is Jim Quillerin, and he was a newspaper writer. And he, through different happenstance, comes across these 2 Siamese cats named Coco and Yum Yum, and Coco is very smart and can read, because the first book is The Cat Who Read Backwards, and that's where he meets Coco, and then Yum Yum is more of the sweet, innocent little girly cat, and he solves these crimes, and usually the cats are assisting in some form or other, and just the people in those books, you want to get to know them. You feel like you've known them forever, though I will say with the caveat, these are books that you cannot read without wanting to eat.
Yes.
They are always eating. They are having dinners. They are going out to eat. He is cooking. You're starving the whole time you're reading them. And it's just, you're like, I need to go get a snack. They're not books you can read without a snack. They're just like, oh, what's his name? The guy, the character with the sandwiches.
First Deadly Sin?
Yes, the Deadly Sin book series by...
Delaney's the character.
Yes. We will research it for a future episode. But he's always eating sandwiches.
Oh, and it's wet sandwiches or dry sandwiches?
And it's the same with Hannah Swenson. She's always making these cookies, and then at the end of her books, she has
recipes.
She has the recipes in there, and there's actually one of the books is she starts writing a cookbook with all of the recipes from people in town, and they released the cookbook. I have the cookbook.
Oh, is it good?
It is, but you're just all these books, and it's just they're eating or they're drinking, and they're making cookies or cakes, or it's just you want to eat when you read them. And
Okay, First Deadly Sin by Lawrence Sanders.
Sanders, there we go. I thought maybe it
And
was an S.
There also is a movie that has Frank Sinatra in it, but the movie is not good.
Yes.
Skip the movie, cut to the
Well,
book.
that's just how it is. But I think it's one of those things where you find these. I mean, it's the same with you find these series and you love these characters and you always can go back to them. It's the same for people when you found Harry Potter or wanting to go back to Hobbiton in Lord of the Rings.
If you can see it, it's sort of like this is one of the covers.
I'm sure Liz will put a big picture up
Yeah.
somewhere, maybe where the green screen is.
But what's really great about it is Delaney, the cop.
Yeah. But it's just, I love those books where you just feel like when you go back and read them, you're just with old friends. And with this, the Dream Harbor series, you can already tell there's a couple other characters that have been brought up. I don't remember their names, but there are two people in town, and she's the baker, and he owns the bar, and they're just constantly at each other. So there's that tension that just suck it up and date already is what everybody's like, and they're constantly just bickering and fighting, and they're just people you feel like you could just jump in and have
Conversation
an awesome
with?
time just
Yeah.
hanging out with them.
Hi.
Yes, you're like, I want to be your friend. I want to jump in and I want to sit at the bookstore. I want to go to the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and get a coffee, and then go to the bakery for a cinnamon roll, and go to the bookstore and read. And
Yep, I agree. Pure escapism.
yes,
And I think a lot of times that's what books are.
yes.
I'm not big on like true crime.
I can read some of those. I have to have a good balance. Usually, I read all of these books, the lighter ones that we won't talked about monarchs getting murdered, but that's besides the point on other episodes. But I'd finished Demon of the Unrest by Eric Larson, which was about the start of the Civil War with Fort Sumter. Very timely, as he got his idea of looking into it and writing the book as of some other previous things that had happened during other administrations, gave him the thought of
Yeah, and what I like
researching
about
it.
his, though, is they're written like fiction, only they're true.
Yep, he's
They're
got a
nonfiction.
very, I don't know if it's a literature, there's a way to phrase it, but it's drawing a blank right now, but he always writes really well. I never feel like I'm stuck in his book and I can't finish them. Though I was really surprised when the book actually ended, because I forgot it. Since it's nonfiction, this much of the book is all his sites and sources and everything that he has to do. And so it's like, oh, I have so much left. And it's like, or I'm done with the book.
I know, and that's always so disappointing to me, because I keep thinking there's more.
Well, and the hard thing about reading nonfiction is you know how it ends.
Yes.
So like you can read like he did Dead Wake, which is about the sinking of the Lusitania. So you're getting to know all these people on the ship, and you're like, yeah, but it's gonna get hit by a U-boat and sunk. So you know X, Y, and Z person are gonna be dead, and so it's figuring that stuff out. But he always finds a different way to look at it. But even when it's for me, it's finding a time to read about those because you know you don't learn from it if you don't read about it. But at the same time, then you have to watch something or you have to read something that's a little lighter. A little more follows that. Well, that's what I always say to my husband. He's like, you read a lot of romance sometimes. And I'm like, yeah. But romance follows a pattern. Boy gets girl, boy meets girl, boy gets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. Or it will reverse. Girl meets boy, girl gets boy, girl loses boy, girl gets boy back. And
That's
you can
right.
follow it. And sometimes you just need those. You don't need a book that's got some higher meaning and it changes your purpose. You just need to go to Dream Harbor for a while and enjoy their Christmas tree farm.
Well, I know what you mean because I'm reading The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich
Oh my gosh.
by, yeah. Well, and you know, part of it is because of you know, politics. And the other part is I am a World War II person. And so I have,
The exact opposite of Dream
yeah,
Harbor.
William
the Third Reich.
William Shire, or Shearer, however you say it. But he was actually a foreign correspondent in Berlin at the rise when Hitler came into power.
Yep.
And he writes about all the different things that happened. And the other book I'm reading,
The other one I thought was good about that time is Eric Larson again. Obviously, he's a favorite. In the Garden of the Beast,
Yes.
which is about follows the last U.S. ambassador as Hitler came to power.
yes, and then
His kids,
yeah,
bad kids,
well, just sort of stupid kids.
stupid, and yes,
Poor judgment. Really poor judgment. In fact, I would have
Yes.
left them in Germany.
but we have reached the end of our time.
Oh,
for
wow. That went fast.
This one, we lose our track of time when we're talking about.
I
books,
didn't get a
but-
chance to talk about Team of Rivals.
Well, we can talk about it next time.
That's
Keep
right.
that under your hat.
I will.
So we will see you next time. Reach out on Facebook or through our email at offtheshelfbooktalk@gmail.com, and we'll see you next time.